All right. Welcome to the very first episode of the No Justice podcast. I am here with my homeboy. Introduce yourself, man.
All right, the name's Zach. I go by a lot of names. Some people call me McGruber over on the Ascended Nerd podcast. This one's mainly comic book oriented, so you can call me the legendary Super Stan because, I rock the shield.
Right. And I am Wonder Woman's future baby daddy, David. Uh, People also call me the petty one out here. But yeah, so this is the very first podcast of the No Justice podcast. This is going to be the epicenter of all things superhero comic books. Sometimes we'll talk about a little manga or anime, but yeah, this is where we talk about the superheroes and supervillains out here. So, how you been, man? What's your week been like?
Ooh, man. My week's been something else. Real life. Yes, I only worked one day this week. Shift, and for people that know me in real life, I work for a moving company, so it's like a 17-hour workout. One of the worst physical experiences I've ever had, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. And comic book world, people in DC especially are making some big splashes right now.
Right. Well, as for me, ain't shit really happening to be told. I mean, I've been pretty much
Get
this
a new
pod.
crib?
Oh yeah, I did get a new crib. It's like that between that and a fucking snowstorm that hit us a couple weekends ago. Yeah, my shit's been relatively uneventful, but this podcast has been in the works for a minute. It's just we've been bullshitting, trying to get it set up, but we finally here though. Uh, all right, we might as well just go ahead and roll into the first topic. Uh, to give people an idea of who we are, what we about, what set we rep. The very first topic might as well be uh, so Zach, how did you get into comic books, or why? Uh, what pretty much drew your interest to them?
Okay, so I didn't become an avid comic book reader
Mm-hmm.
until maybe like a year or two ago.
Right,
However long we've been knowing each other, it's run of time.
right.
I know you're the one who actually put me on them, but I've always been a fan of comic book stuff ever since when I was a kid. He used to come on in the afternoons. I know before I went to school, I can't remember how old I was, but the Superman TV show used to play like every single morning, and I used to watch it before I went to school every single.
Right.
What had me on that love for that. And then when Iron Man came out, but shout out to Spider Man, obviously, because he's the goat.
I was about to say. I was about to
When the
say.
Spider Man movies came out, sorry, when the Spider Man movies came out, I really got into Spider Man. But what opened me to like, uh, when I thought Marvel, I only thought Spider Man. I didn't think Avengers, X Men, anything like that.
Right.
Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. That really put me on the idea of a greater expanded universe, because I always knew about DC because of Justice League Unlimited.
Right. One of the best shows out
Because
there.
I was
Yeah.
just a kid,
Yeah.
and then
If you didn't see it, you didn't know about it. Yeah, I get you. Uh, is that it?
oh, sorry, over and out. Yeah,
Well, okay. For me, it's a
that's
bit
fair.
more. It's kind of in the same vein of most of my knowledge originally came from cartoons like Batman the animated series, X Men, Spider Man, Justice League when that eventually came out. But I don't think I started reading comics for real, up until I want to say 2007 ish. That's when I started to read things offhand. I read a little bit of Superman here and there. Of course, I read a shit ton of Spider Man. That's where the majority of my comic knowledge was for a good few years. But it wasn't until like probably 2 years before you and I personally started chilling with each other over Facebook that I started to read comic books heavy again. And yeah, it's been pretty much a story from. It's pretty much been story as you know it from there. Uh, so I guess I guess so people can understand what what type of comics you rock with the most? What company? What brand? What type of genre?
Okay. You want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
You go ahead, bro.
Okay, so I'm gonna get flack for this. Obviously, some people might call me a casual, but I'm a younger guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up watching that superhero stuff, and I've just always loved the idea of superheroes. Like, if I
Right.
could have a job in real life, I would be a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's always been one of my favorite things. So obviously, I stay reading superhero stuff
Right.
because I love superheroes so much. I just love the greatest ones, and that's why Superman's one of my favorite. That's why I love Spider Man.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the messages they put across, because I believe in all that cheesy stuff, truth, justice, the American way, all of it.
Right. 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 Uh. Well, for me, yeah, I love superheroes. They were the very first things I started reading when it came to comic books. Because you see me on the fucking Facebook groups. I'm talking. I love talking about the fucking powers and shit and how fucking creative you can be with them. But after a while, even like with how you see me with anime, I got tired of certain. I guess the word is tropes. Yeah, I got tired of a few tropes. So I took a break from superheroes and I just started going into like the nitty gritty detective type comics. Not detective comics, the name, but the genre. I used to read these fucking Wild Wild West type shit. But eventually, I always come back to superheroes because superheroes are the shit. Let's be real here. Like Spider Man is the go. I know you love Superman and all, but yeah, Spider Man's better. But yeah, so
We can talk about that some other time. We don't want
right.
to, ruin the podcast on the first episode.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
I think just for people who don't know,
right.
Spider-Man is, he's the highest selling. I don't think, as far as symbols go, I hear that the Superman shield is one of the most iconic ever, but as far as money, Spider-Man wins that.
uh, I'm just saying, I don't
A
know.
comfortable margin too.
I'm not. I'm just saying, I don't know if I want to cape a guy who's used to represent true justice in the American way, but then he denounced his American citizenship. So,
To be a humanitarian, is that
and it sounds like more like he just wanted to be an illegal alien. But hey, I'm not throwing shade. Not throwing shade.
hey, Superman is an illegal alien. Clark Kent is a U.S. citizen. You know?
Okay, okay, okay. All right, let's go ahead and skip on over to this next topic. This is one that we were talking about in our Facebook group, All Nerd Everything. If you are not a part of that group, you should definitely check us out. It's a chill environment full of all nerds of every shade and stripe over there. But the conversation that we were talking about in the group was the validity of data books and guidebooks for anime, manga, and comics. Now, what was your stance again? Just so for the people who didn't see that convo.
Okay, you know what? Just a second, because I hear some dogs barking.
Yeah. uh, yeah. While he's
Yeah. So them.
yeah, I hear you.
I'm not a huge fan of them.
Hmm.
They get. I'm thinking. Okay, so they could be used all too often to blow things out of proportion.
Right.
Just be thrown in there by like some editor or something like that. They're not often author statements. And even then, author statements, like sometimes they just get caught off guard and say, like, I don't want to be the guy to say like authors are wrong,
Yeah, we don't
especially
want
in comic books. Especially in comic books, sometimes it can be contradictory. In manga, comment on the stuff ever. Most of the stuff you see in guidebooks, a lot of times can be like editors, stuff like that.
to. Hmm.
Uh, like in the Dragon Ball Super, for example, Broly is apparently stronger than Jiren because Psycho Jump said that. But like, I don't know if I pronounced it right, Saikyo, but Psycho Jump is like it's not Shonen Jump.
Yeah,
It's not Akira Toriyama. It's not like it's not actually a real source, but people use stuff like that all the time. Comic books, you'll get like some random guy knowledge of characters, and they'll just write stuff in there,
mm-hmm.
and people take those way. Like if you read Marvel data books, don't in the slightest support what's material, and there are people who would say, well, the data books are more valid, but like data books to enjoy myself. I don't even read them. I don't care about them in the slightest. I care about what happens on the page.
Right. I get that. Uh, me, I'm
Yeah,
a bit.
that's my biggest one.
I mean, I'm a bit more on the fence myself because it's like I. I don't know if I can speak for you in this case, but for me, I am a stickler for lore. Like I like my shit to be concise, make sense, be in like chronological and order and shit. Like I need that. Maybe it's just because I'm a little bit OCD and crazy. I don't fucking know, but I'm always like I want to know the nitty gritty details. I don't care about what people say. I just want the detail. So I appreciate data book guidebooks for that, but at the same time, it's like you said, yeah, there's contradictory information if you look at both sources. Like comic books, especially. Well, no, not even comic books, especially. But I'm trying to think. You have, are you aware of the old Marvel cards that used to come out? It was like Marvel character
Yeah,
cards.
I think that's had the stats on them and everything.
Yeah, that's where a lot of, like if you look at the Marvel Wikipedia, a lot of that is a lot of those little charts that they have towards the end with their abilities and crap. It's largely
Yeah.
based off of those data cards. Now, I can't think of what character it was specifically, but it's just
Black
like,
Bolt has had some ridiculous ones. Black Bolt and Black Panther have been put on like the same level, actually, the same footing in like.
and I feel like that's disrespecting my country of origin. You do not disrespect Wakanda with fucking Black Bolt. Like, fuck him. Oh, okay. Side note, just because you mentioned Black Bolt, who who really is caping fucking Black Bolt? Truth be told, because it's like,
Other than Marvel stands, I don't really think there's a lot out there. Okay, Blackagar, Boltagon, or whatever, isn't that his name?
uh,
Blackagar, Boltagon.
the
I
fuck
don't
if I
keep up with
remember.
him a lot. Okay, so I like DC more.
Yeah,
So I might be a little more, likely to stand some DC things, but I'm not gonna like stand everything.
right.
And it's the same with Marvel. I like a lot of Marvel. I'm just not gonna stand everything. And Black Bolt's just one of those characters never cared about.
Yeah, like even most Marvel fans
So
don't
if
care
you
about
read
the
that
Inhumans.
Thanos wins comic, so in Thanos wins, there's also inconsistencies. But I mean,
Hmm.
look, Thanos gave him a gut punch, and like when they were being surrounded by Celestials, and when he screamed out in pain, he killed like 10 Celestials.
Right. Like,
There's that.
yeah, but uh, just fuck Black Bolt. I'm just gonna put it like that. Fuck Black Bolt. I don't care about him or the Inhumans. Well, I kind of like Medusa. I'm not gonna front there.
I don't really care about any of the Inhumans. To be honest, I'm
Yeah.
an X-Men guy personally when it comes
Right.
to Marvel.
Yeah.
Mutants.
The Inhumans are dollar store X-Men. We can be real about that. But
Yeah.
I do kind of like Medusa. I can't tell you why exactly, but I do. Maybe just because she's got nice tits. I don't fucking know. But
I like their dog. Isn't that Lockjaw?
I legit forgot that they had a dog until you said it.
I forgot it till I said it too.
Uh, okay.
I'm sorry, y'all. We're not bad comic fans. We don't read Inhuman stuff.
Yeah, if anything, we're good comic fans because we don't read Inhumans shit. We don't advocate trash. But
Damn.
what was I saying? Oh yeah, data books. I like them up until a point. When I do see contradictions, I will lean towards more the statement or feat that is shown in the actual comic versus the data book. But if I see no immediate contradiction or if I don't know of any immediate contradiction, I'll I'll take the guidebook at its word. But the moment I do see a contradiction, I'm like, okay, this little piece of information is defunct now. Because like, okay, I'll even use Dragon Ball. Oh god, I hate using Dragon Ball. But all right, so one of their data books, it fucking describes shit, what was it?
You could use Vegito and Gogeta as an example. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah, I'll use that. Fucking the Patara fusion is supposed to be, or originally was presented to us as being the stronger version of fusion. Now, the word stronger is subjective on the meaning, but what most people assumed was power
More
level.
potent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more power wise is the better option than the fusion dance. Come roll around to freaking Dragon Ball
GTS.
Super Brawler, yeah. Apparently, Fusion Dance is better, even though if you if you remember how they broke it down, Fusion the Fusion Dance requires both parties to be of equal power level before they can fuse. So if you got one half of the equation who is stronger, they have to power themselves down in order to match the weaker person. Versus the Patara fusion, which is, oh no, we just fucking add your shit together. So it was like, how does that make sense? And plus the fucking
And the time limits
yeah,
too.
yeah, the time limits. The fusion dance is 30 minutes. The Patara, if it's only done by mortals, is an hour. Unless of course you power up so much
Yeah.
that still don't make no sense to me. How are you gonna
Let's just address that real quick. And that's kind of what I was getting at. So they say, one's stronger than the other, right?
right,
The other. So we know the fusion dance only lasts 30 minutes, right?
right.
And Batar's supposed to last an hour and it's supposed to be stronger. But when using Super Saiyan Blue, 30 seconds versus what they did against Broly.
Yeah, it was like what
It just seems to me at this point they're either equal powers or Gogeta's just better.
yeah, it
Examples that I used it for the longest,
yeah.
but now I'm just starting to see that they're just not true.
Yeah, it's just like as far as Dragon Ball is concerned, and this isn't a Dragon Ball podcast, people. I'm sorry, but we got a lot of gripes with that goddamn show. Uh, Fuck it. I'm not talking about Dragon Ball no more. This is about comic books.
Cut that shit out.
Uh, so I don't know. Okay, I got a question for you then. Is there a case where you would, uh, is there a case where you would take the information from a data book as gospel?
Um, I wouldn't say gospel per se, but
Hmm.
I guess I agree with what you said. It's just so many data books I've seen that people use, like all the ones people use for the most part,
Hmm.
sort of inconsistency in them.
I mean, you also got a
That's
fact.
that's the main point. So I have seen ones that do make perfect sense. I read I don't even know if it's necessarily a data book entry. It's like a promotional photo for one of Superman's authors
Uh,
from this like Science Now article or whatever. Because I read the same article, but he was talking about how Superman has these things called photovoltaic cells, and they absorb sunlight, and they have these conductors in them that
mhm.
then turns that sunlight energy into electric energy. And that was the explanation behind Superman's electromagnetic aura. We might talk about that later.
So pretty much turning.
I do believe that because it does seem very, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It seems very plausible and it's
it's
like rooted in science.
it's enough pseudoscience BS explanation to at least make it sound plausible.
Yeah, that I'll buy it. I'll be like, okay, sure.
Yeah, that was the same thing with freaking Spider-Man during the Totem Eaters arc. That I was like, oh okay, I can accept that. I can accept his powers being both science and magical. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay with this. Uh,
Well, I mean, I've always been like that just with like, hey, he's got the proportional strength of a spider. I'm like, okay. And then he's like punched through solid steel, and I'm like, oh, is that how that works? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
yeah, it's you could kind of get away with some stuff if you just throw enough scientific babble at people.
Yeah. Rule of cool.
Yeah,
Just let
yeah,
it go.
yeah. Truth, truth. But I don't know. I wish when it comes to data books, something else that people also got to keep in mind is a lot of times these data books or official guides are dated. Like the very first, oh god damn it, I'm about to use Dragon Ball again. The very first Dragon Ball data book came out like late late '90s, well after fucking the original Dragon Ball ended and Z had already started. So
Yeah,
whatever information was on there is both outdated and you got to remember Toriyama, he loves to add stuff last minute just because it's him. And the same thing actually happens with comic book data books too, because it's like uh, I'm trying to think because I used to have this big ass Spider-Man data book when I was younger. I almost want to say, fuck, I can't. Damn it, I cannot remember it. But all right, I'll use the prime example of Bobby Iceman before he was quote unquote confirmed to be Omega. I barely follow Bobby Iceman. God damn it, I barely follow Iceman when he's ever in the story. But originally, before he was confirmed to be an Omega 11 mutant, most fans only assumed it based off of an old comic where there was a scenario where Emma Frost had her mind swapped into the body of Iceman. And while she was in his body, she was able to utilize his powers better than him to the point that she speculated that he is he could quite possibly be an Omega level mutant if he's better harness his abilities. So
and they
people.
still hang on to that. They did mention that, I believe, in the last Iceman run.
Mhm.
That was like when the first time he learned about it, and then to push for it now. And all they ever do, they name drop it. You'll probably find that like
Yeah.
read the new like last year's Iceman run. You'll
Mhm.
probably read him being an Omega level mutant like 3 times per issue, at least. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, let's see what my Omega level ice powers do this time,"
Right.
and just bust out some. And they're actually that's the thing. When I think Omega level mutants, I'm thinking when Kitty Pride fused with
God damn
that mirror thing and like damn near became omnipresent,
Right.
crazy like that. When like I'm thinking power cosmic, like those levels of things. When I think Omega level, personally, Bobby hasn't shown that much to me. Although his ice kaiju thing is pretty dope.
Right. Okay. Since we're throwing around a term that not everybody who might listen to this podcast knows, Omega level. Omega level was a term. I can't give you the exact origins because that's a long time ago, like before I was born, probably. But Omega level was a term to describe mutants specifically who had a power that. Okay, let me see if I can say it more plain. Omega level is defined as a person whose abilities cannot be surpassed, only equaled, depending on whatever their power is. So, taking Professor X, he's an Omega level telepath, meaning that his abilities have the capability of affecting the planet Earth as a whole. The he cannot be surpassed by any other Omega. Pretty much Jean Grey, Emma Frost, those are two other Omega level telepaths, and they are of equal standing to him. The only reason you can say either of those two are stronger than Professor X is because they have additional abilities on top of that. Like Jean, she is a psionic. She has every psychic ability on the fucking board. Versus
Hey,
Emma.
I've got some Omega level stuff. Like I've got the explanations and stuff pulled up if you want me to read it off.
Oh, by all means.
Okay, so an Omega, I keep saying like an Omega level mutant genetic potential of their mutant abilities. The term was first seen in the 1986 issue Uncanny X-Men number 208 but was completely unexplained beyond the obvious implications of it referring to an exceptional level of power. Again, until 2001 in the limited series X-Men Forever, depicted by Omega level mutants include immortality, reality warping, highly destructive energy projection, extreme manipulation of matter, energy, time, high psionic ability with strong telepathy and telekinesis, and the potential to exist beyond the boundaries of the known physical universe. Edition has been offered in comics, but examples of Omega level mutants include Franklin Richards, Jean Grey, Hyperstorm, Nate Gay, Strife, Mr. M, Exodus, Quentin Quire, Vulcan, Rachel Summers, Iceman, Proteus, Legion, and Psylocke. And most of those guys, if you were to compare Iceman to a lot of those people,
it's no contest.
yeah, like Franklin Richards, Jean Grey, Nate Gray, Strife, Mr. M, Quentin Quire, Rachel Summers, like Legion, no, those are
Like,
completely.
like you could take out the Summers family or the Gray family. Like take them out, and the Omegas you have. Like if you take out Franklin Richards, and then you take out anybody who has the last name Gray, there are still Omegas who just shit stomp on Iceman. It's not even a joke. Like
Yeah.
Storm pretty much has Iceman's powers as a byproduct of her actual abilities.
Well,
And
here's
she
his biggest thing that I hear is that he's apparently, I've heard it two different ways. I haven't read it myself. I've heard it two different ways.
mm,
Basically, he's immortal on Earth because where there exists water vapor, he can just reform. And then I've also heard that he's like legitimately immortal wherever there's water in the universe. I haven't read either of them, but I've heard
mm.
his push for it is.
I mean, I suppose that makes a level of sense, but he's pretty much screwed if the fucking Phoenix Force comes to Earth because it'll just burn the bitch. Like, oh, you like
Yeah.
water, huh? Bye bye. But
I mean,
okay. What were you gonna say?
completely different power levels. They should make a whole nother class for Phoenix Force.
Uh, I think they call. I could be wrong, but I thought they classified Phoenix Force as an alpha level threat. Like Omega is mutant specific, but they do have different danger tiers essentially. There's alpha level threats, and then there's a beyond alpha or beyond omega.
Oh,
Like,
I've got it. I've got them all pulled up right here. None of these are really used that often though.
yeah.
Niafim and Shayarafim, to do with Apocalypse. Yeah, demonic looking mutants. I'm guessing that's probably something along the lines of what Kurt is.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos. And I know Thanos, deviant, right? Is just a offshoot of his races. Like he's a mutant. Thanos is literally a
Yeah.
mutant.
Yeah. Thanos
And
is a mutant.
so is for those of you that don't know, and so is Namor the Submariner. He's half mutant, half Atlantean.
Still stupid. That's another character I don't give a damn
Just
about.
another
Fuck Namor.
caveat. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry. Fuck Namor. His little fucking.
On everything. I'm Aquaman over Namor all day, every day.
I don't
This
even
is
like
episode.
Aquaman. I don't even like Aquaman either, but I will definitely read a comic of his before.
His Jeff Johns stuff?
I read some of it. Like it's good storytelling. I'm not gonna front on that, but I'm just not a fan of Aquaman as a character. I like Mira more than I like Aquaman. Like I legitimately
Yeah,
like Mira.
it's just something about that Atlantean trope. Mara, I mean, she's a babe, probably just being sexist. Not gonna lie. I mean, she's
Mm,
badass though.
yeah, oh yeah, she's definitely badass. But if you're talking sexy, it's did you not hear what I called myself? I am Wonder Woman's future baby daddy. So
They're different sorts of beauties. You know what I'm saying? Wonder Woman is like full. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Mara to me is like chaotic beautiful. She's got that red, the blood red hair and everything.
I mean, if we're talking redheads, Mary Jane, but I get what you mean.
Okay, well she's not an Atlantean queen.
But she's the realest fucking wife out. You know what? We'll say that for another podcast.
No.
Oh,
Lois Lane is life out
oh,
there. We can do this on different podcasts though.
okay. Yeah, we definitely have to talk about that one because you're wrong. But anyway,
Um, You'll see.
Okay. All right. Shit. What the fuck were we talking about? And fuck it. We'll just go on to the next
The
topic.
next one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll introduce this one because it's kind of got me thinking earlier. But who's the better hero team between the Avengers and the Justice League? I want to hear your logic first.
Uh, who's better as? Are we talking as a cohesive team or just marketing?
I
Just
mean,
so.
just kind of the whole works. Who could? Let's say there's a generic alien invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Quickest.
Generic alien image. Okay. Truth be told, Justice League is the better team, and I have an entire list of reasons why. But before we really get into it, I want to hear your stance so that before we really unwrap this bullshit.
Okay, so well, I would say the Justice League for multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest ones being that they are more consistent as a team.
Okay.
Like a lot of Avengers changes up very often,
Mm-hmm.
and the JLA is a little more concrete ever since that post crisis area after the death of Superman. I feel like the JLA has been a little more concrete. So for the last 7 years, it's pretty much consisted.
Right.
It's almost 8 years now. Ever since 2011, New 52, it's mostly consisted of a core set of members. They
Yeah.
switched it up a little bit. Still people that like we've known forever. Like now, all they did was add they just added John Stewart, Martian Manhunter, and Hawkgirl.
Right. And essentially, John Stewart is just replacing Hal Jordan because Hal
And
Jordan's doing
he's
his own.
smarter, Hal Jordan, so he's actually more useful because they've got
True.
to power down Cap.
Yeah. True. True. But okay.
Those
So
of you that don't know, John Stewart's got a buff. Shout out to my boy.
it's yo. I, I was throwing out the fucking Black Power fist like that's people can actually see that shit. Oh my god. But okay, so what you're right in the regards that Justice League is more consistent with its members. Like it's always going to be the Trinity plus two or three extras here and there. Like there was a time period back when it was before pre-crisis that it was the JLA Justice League of America.
JSA? You talking about JSA?
Uh, wait,
Are you talking about like the first JLA? Okay, I know what you're talking about
yeah, JLA, not JSA. Justice Society was Earth 2 or 3 originally, but anyway, yeah, when it was the Justice League of America, they had the Trinity plus damn near every superhero under the sun because it was like a goddamn standing superhero army. But over the years, they started to cut those people down, and it's got broken up into sister teams or just completely unaffiliated teams. But as a as an actual unit, Justice League is solid versus the Avengers, who yeah, you're right in that they like switch up members a lot. Like it's typically almost always Iron Man and Cap who are on the team. Thor is sometimes questionable. Uh, but
So, do you know who's on the new Avengers team? Have you kept up with the new Avengers comic? Because I could even I think the arguments even easier now over who would be the team because there's a lot of youth on so the new Avengers team now is so they've got Black Panther, Captain America, Thor, She-Hulk, Ghost Rider, um the main ones I'm remembering because Doctor Strange obviously. But they've got them, but the thing is this Ghost Rider, it's not any of the regular ones we're used to. It's Robbie
mhm,
Reyes, I think. Robbie Reyes,
yeah,
the kid with the car. So he's
yeah,
newer to it. Thor is a lot weaker than he's been shown. I mean, I don't think anyone would argue that current Thor is definitely weaker than Thor with Mjolnir.
right. Yeah, ever since Jane
Iron
Foster.
Man's actually Iron Man. Iron Man hasn't. I actually feel like he's. I actually like him now.
Mm,
I actually like Iron Man. But we all know
right.
how strong Iron Man is. He's kind of the same. Cap is just Cap.
Yeah. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna talk about Cap a
Yeah,
little
he's not
bit.
Wonder Woman, Superman. He doesn't have any superpowers like that. He's just Cap.
No,
And then
not.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
So I feel like not only are they lacking experience, even though Black Panther is getting them right. Like I'm not gonna lie, Black Panther's really getting all their shit together. But right now, just in terms of experience and battle power, I feel like they're lower down. I mean, Robbie is stupid potent though. He took out a Celestial, but
Right. I mean,
based
it's
on the statements in that comic, the Celestials weren't that strong.
yeah. It's for whatever reason they're going with more tech for the Avengers nowadays versus
Yes.
powerhouses, and I don't know if I dislike it, but at the same time I'm just like, y'all kind of need some more powerhouses on your team, especially if you're trying to handle things that are okay. You there's something I've always wanted to bring up, but nobody
I love
really understands.
Captain Marvel off. Sorry, y'all. I'm just I've never been a big Carol fan.
I
There's
like
a, yeah,
I
he's a
like
Carol
her.
fan,
Yeah.
not me. I left her off the team. She is strong. I forgot that's one of their powerhouses, guys. That's on me.
Yeah. I I just tend not to even like thinking of her on the Avengers because fuck the Avengers, truth be told. Like, okay. Here's one of the biggest things I don't like about the Avengers. They are teams predominantly stationed in New York. So why is it damn near everyone on their roster, with the exception of a couple, never handle street problems? Like they don't they don't involve themselves in street level threats. It's always something that threatens the city or the world or some other country. And versus the Justice League, where yeah, they're not as often going to the streets, but you will sometimes see them there as a team handling shit. And it's just
Well, I
like,
mean, as a team, I don't really. They don't need it that often. I mean,
yeah, I know, but
no, I
it's
mean you would be right in the fact that even individually, most of them don't handle petty crime like that. Not in the
eh,
sense that Batman always busting some petty crime.
right.
Superman, I'm always busting some petty crime. Flash, always busting petty crime. Street
Except for
crime.
Wonder Woman, she handles the magic shit all the time. So
Hers is a little more intense. She's actually a god, so her standing's a little
true.
different. Um, and even Cyborg, when he had a run, hell, he was busting up petty thugs too.
Like, okay,
So,
Captain America, he is a strictly street level hero, but he does not do anything that is remotely on his level unless it involves Shield. And that's something else I don't like about the Avengers. They are what too connected to Shield. Like, okay, maybe I'm tripping, but when I think of a superhero organization, I don't like the idea that they're connected to any government. You know what I mean?
yeah, there was a Justice League, and I don't know if they considered this filler really. There's a Justice League arc back in Rebirth. I think it came out more 2017ish, where like someone used Wonder Woman's sword because she lost it, and like
Mm-hmm.
someone were to kill some girl. Um, and then they really tried putting Wonder Woman on trial for murder, and Wonder
Yeah.
Woman's kind of like, "Oh my god," she did not care.
Yeah, it's
Y'all
just
don't have authority over me. And she's like, "Are you gonna call Superman to take me in? He's not gonna do it."
yeah, that's
Batman
true.
was literally the one interviewing her. Actually, like he infiltrated all the stuff like that. Yeah, the Justice League is above any worldly government.
And the like,
Yeah,
okay,
sure. Actually,
because it's like every time the Avengers fuck up, it is because of Shield in some capacity. Shield is fodder. The few superhuman, the few metahumans that they have, yeah, Argus is fodder too, but Argus knows that they're fodder. Shield pretends that they are not.
no. When Amanda Waller, she puts on her big girl britches a little too often. I remember
Well,
Green Arrow almost killed her ass back in No Justice.
yeah,
She was trying to square up with him, and Green Arrow was like, "Look, the world's in danger. I'm gonna shoot you in the face."
but I give Amanda Waller a pass only because more times than not she. What?
I loved her in Suicide Squad. She was like, that's like my favorite role.
Oh yeah, Amanda Waller. Whenever she handles the Suicide Squad or she's fucking with Batman's head, I'm like, cool. She's handling her thing. But there is not one goddamn Shield agent outside of Nick Fury who is worth a damn to me. I'm sorry. It's I fucking hate Shield because, like I said, they pretend that they are big deals in the hero community when they're part of the reason Civil War happened. They're part of the reason freaking the Secret Invasion happened. Secret Empire. Okay, how many
And
times
they're
does shit?
always treating my boy Spider Man like shit.
Oh
I
my
just
god.
remember,
Yeah,
fuck
that.
Shield. I just
Yeah,
remember
yeah. That's what I'll tell you. Like
on
Shield,
him.
Shield is so incompetent it makes no sense. So why is it that you are, as a hero team, connecting yourselves to him? It's not because you need the money, because one of your premier members is one of the richest men on the planet, in Tony Stark.
I mean, they got Black Panther. They got Black
Uh,
Panther now, so
Also, yeah, also true. But
and he's
Black.
the leader. He's completely funding everything.
Oh, so that's a stretch.
And he's like for the most part, he's detached from Shield. Like everything is being run from Wakanda.
And that's still a little iffy because we all know that when it comes down to it, if something threatens Wakanda, he will he will sell out everybody.
No, what I mean is, I mean, well, that's just what it is. That's how smart Black Panther is. He was like, hey, I need the superhero team. No, but I'm saying he's got so many spies and everything.
Oh yeah,
He's just secret. It's pretty. I mean, they've been showing him flex.
oh yeah.
I mean,
Even
he got to Asgard and walked into Odin's throne room like without anybody noticing him, and
I,
it's just like, yo, I need to hold council with you.
I think I could be wrong, but I almost want to say when Asgard originally fell during I want to say when Tony Stark rebuilt Asgard and it was I forgot what the fuck it was called. It was like Asgardia or some shit like that.
Yeah,
Tony
Asgardia.
Stark, yeah, Tony Stark had partially used technology loaned to him by Black Panther to help build that shit. I could be wrong on that, but anyway, yeah, it's like okay,
Now their base is actually in a celestial,
say that again.
a dead celestial. Right now, their new base, and this is why they're on the up and up.
Yeah,
They've got a brand new base, right? And it's made out of celestial, so you can't get more advanced technology. They use the celestial as their supercomputers and everything.
yep,
Pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
yeah. I
Like I said,
mean,
Black Panther's got them in the right direction.
yeah, I mean, Black Panther also just came out. Like he hopped on to the Avengers after being with the Ultimates, who were dealing with fucking cosmic level threats for their run. But
Oh, and that's another thing. Yeah, it's just that the Avengers, I feel like, is never the strongest superhero team
oh no,
either.
no, by no means are they. Like their best
That's the
members.
problem. Is like when you look at the Justice League, they've got all the heavy hitters
Yeah,
in verse, but like all the heavy hitters on Earth, they're Justice League members.
yeah.
I,
But
I mean,
here's
who's
the funny.
the argument on an Earth-based hero that's stronger than one of the Justice League members? There's really not one.
Yeah.
Opposed to, for example, Blue Marvel, but
Mm,
like would easily be one of the top Avengers. Sentry, they're wasting him. This should be on
mm.
a different podcast because I've got ideas of what they should do with Sentry.
Oh, we can. All right, yeah, we can talk about that for another podcast. But yeah, okay. So here's another thing about the Avengers that makes them so fucking inept and stupid. Just like you said, they're not the strongest team, but every member of their team is I should say almost every member of their team is a part of some other team. Like there's a lot of intersection between Marvel teams when it comes to the Avengers. And yet the Avengers has fought some of the biggest teams in the world over stupid shit, like X-Men versus Avengers. Why are the Avengers going against the X-Men when at least three of their members used to be Avengers? Like you would think, like, hey, hold up, Wolverine was the homie. Let's talk this out a little bit. Maybe we could come together on something. But no, give us a freaking Hope Summers. Like what, dude? Oh my god.
Yeah, Marvel heroes do be pretty quick to get about jacking everything. They tend to disagree a lot. Hashtag Civil War.
Yeah.
Hashtag Civil War Part 2.
Yeah. The first Civil War
And
was the second one was I got mixed
second one's
feelings on that
all
one.
right. It just felt extra. It didn't feel like
Like like outside of it being a pretty much stealing the idea of Minority Report, it
yeah.
was it was okay. But I had
Tony and
mixed.
Carol fighting that one time, and we knew neither was going to kill each other.
And you know what's funny? I completely understood why Spider-Man sided with Carol, but a lot of people were mad at that fact because Spider-Man's probably the most popular Marvel character. So people wanted him to be on, ironically, the right side, which was Tony Stark that one time. But I'm like,
Yeah.
actually, no, I completely understand why Spider-Man sided with Carol. Dude has had too much shit happen to him. Because, okay, I'm going off on a tangent here because I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man has dealt with fortune tellers or cryptic ass messages his entire hero career. So if you give him the option to know the future and actually get the answers plain as day to him, he's gonna be like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna take that." So I don't want to. I'm not about to risk my woman, my family. I'm not about to risk losing people again because people don't want to tell me this truth straight up. I
Yeah.
complete. So yeah,
Well,
but
it seems people forget that superheroes are still human.
yeah.
I was talking about this with Jeremy today. So Heroes in Crisis released last Wednesday. I don't know if
Hmm.
you're caught up.
No, not yet.
It's not really that big of a spoiler for everybody. Anybody who has like looked at what the title is, a lot of heroes got killed in this place called Sanctuary, which is basically a place for heroes who have PTSD or whatever go to.
A side
And
note.
Jeremy was saying,
Sorry to cut you off real quick. Heroes in Crisis is probably the most one of the most disrespectful ways to kill off a major character.
no, look, they're going, but let me. They're going in different ways. They were at first
Okay.
they were like, oh no, it's Harley Quinn who killed everybody, and I was like, look, if she killed everybody, I'm just not going to support DC anymore. And it's looking more into actually that theory, and I might talk about this later or on a different podcast. But you remember I
Hmm.
had that theory about who the Crisis Killer was.
Oh yeah.
It's
Ugh.
looking to me a little more like it's going to shape up that way. But Superman had to give a speech because Lois Lane, because Superman's also the ultimate husband. Lois Lane got herself. Someone sent her a thing with all the info about Sanctuary and the heroes that were killed. Right?
Right.
Clark, I won't do it if you don't want me to do it. Or at least I remember that's what she's saying. And Clark was like, well, journalistic integrity, blah blah blah. You're my wife. So he let her do it, like release this information. And, and I remember Batman was so mad about it. He was like, well, blah blah blah. Or he's like, no, we have to stop her. And he's like, we can't. Like she just uploaded it a second ago. All that shit, so he's aware of what she's doing.
which is
Batman was
weird. Which is weird to me because there was a earlier Batman comic in which he pretty much snuck himself to be on jury duty to free Mr. Freeze. And the reason was for that because he essentially got Mr. Freeze arrested on a crime that he actually did not commit. And the reason why he did that was because he was still dealing with the fallout of spoiler alert, him and Black Cat not actually getting married. Like she,
see, I haven't gotten there yet.
yeah, my bad shit. But
That I haven't gotten past that part. I was so mad. I was into the Batman stuff, and I was shipping them hard as hell.
oh yeah,
Not
everybody
Black Cat.
was.
What's her name? Catwoman, not Black Cat.
Yeah, Catwoman.
Fan making your mistakes, but yeah, yeah. No, I was so mad because I shipped them so hard that I quit reading Batman stuff.
Yeah, it's like, and I completely understand that because most fans were thinking, "Oh shit, they're finally gonna stop playing the goddamn game here. He's actually gonna be with her." But nah, it's the major problem I have with comic books. They never want to keep change. They always got to revert back to the status quo at some point. but we could talk about that on another podcast.
That's also another man. Marvel and relationships. Oh my gosh.
Bro, I'm still heartbroken about what they did with Mary Jane and Spider-Man. Like, ugh. But there is hints in recent Spider-Man comics of them possibly getting back together. So I'm like, yay! I got a little
Oh
girl
yeah,
squeak.
for sure. They did that too in Iceman actually. He talked to Iceman about that and confided in Iceman about all that stuff.
Yeah, but they're still not going to address the. You know what? I would love if they do. We're going off on another tangent, but you know what I would love if what they would do is if they do eventually get Spider-Man and Mary Jane back together, they actually talk about the freaking deal that was made with Mephisto because that as far as Marvel is concerned, that is one of the biggest deals that ever happened. Not necessarily because their marriage was essentially erased from history, but the fact that the creator of the Marvel multiverse came down and tried to convince Spider-Man, "Hey, bro, don't do this. Don't be stupid. Your marriage, I bless that shit."
Wait, who?
Oh, the one above all.
Well, it's when it
Like,
comes to dimensional tearing, I like to be a little more, because Marvel and DC they're both like an omniverse with infinite multiverses and everything,
yeah,
and hyperverse and whatever makes that up. Use that next time. You got to use the proper terminology. Just say Marvel Universe.
well, fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm just messing with you.
But yeah, the one, as far as I remember, the one above all only ever showed up in that storyline. So that kind of tells you how fucking important Spider-Man's marriage was. But that's just my little 2 cents on that. Okay, I think we kind of hammered home why the Avengers are trash in comparison to Justice League. Uh,
Superhero team.
yeah. All right,
Well,
you want to go into this next topic or should I?
well, Netflix and the future of comic book shows. You can start us off if you want.
All right.
Actually, I'll start us off because I think you probably know more about the Miller World stuff than me.
Mm-hmm. I got
I'll,
I got a little cursory. I got some knowledge, but I didn't dip too far into it.
well, I mean, you can go first then if you want.
All right. Well, just so I'll just read a little bit of this article. The links will be in the description of this video for all the listeners out there. But pretty much, there's this Rotten Tomato article talking about some new potential superhero shows that will be showing up on Netflix. And the article reads: Netflix purchased Miller World, the comic book publishing company of Kick-Ass co-creator Mark Miller in August 2017. From the get-go, the plan was to convert his library of work into a short-form and long-form content for the streaming service. In hindsight, it seems pretty clear that Netflix wanted a comic book company of its own to prepare for the eventual split with Disney and its comic book assets. But unlike Marvel, Miller's work spans just about every genre one can think of, except perhaps the sort of black and white autobiographical comics Eddie Campbell used to make, offering Netflix a deeper vein of intellectual properties to mine. Just this week, word broke the Lego Batman movies Chris McKay will direct an adaptation of Miller's sci-fi fantasy tale Reborn. Sandra Bullock is set to produce and possibly even star in the feature. It joins the company's previously announced feature adaptations of Miller Comics' Empress, Huck, and Sharky the Bounty Hunter. But what of Netflix's television plans for the rest of the Miller world? What's the deal with other in development projects based on comic books, such as Y and Lazarus? The CW recently ordered a pilot for a potential Batwoman series, but that is just one of many comic book television shows on the horizon. And the rest, like I said, you can read in the link in the description once this video is uploaded. So, thoughts?
Well, um, uh, mainly, hopefully, because it'll give me some more comics actually, because I'm always looking to like expand my horizons and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It's also just kind of depressing. I hate that. I'm not a big fan of what we're all sure Disney's going to be, do a streaming service,
Right.
and I'm not a big fan of DC's streaming service.
Yeah.
You know, cut out the middleman. I don't know. It was a good thing, you know, go
Yeah.
on, and I
Like
just hate to see that go. With and I just finished Punisher. I love most of the Marvel Netflix series, and I really wish DC would have gone into that stuff with Netflix because I feel like Titans would have been even better than
yeah.
if it would have gone into that stuff. Netflix. Actually, no, sorry, overseas. It had to do it, release it on Netflix overseas, which might have helped the show. I'm not sure because they. I'll tell you. But yeah, I just wish they do more.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of these publishers or these comic publishers trying to do their own streaming service. Like I get it from a business standpoint. They don't want to have to pay other people for shit that their people are making. But yeah, it's like I got a little bit of money on me, but I ain't balling like that to just be spending money on all these different streaming services. I like to have the one or two that I have now and just everything come to those.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but on the flip side of it, I'm almost thinking that it's a good thing that Netflix no longer have these Marvel shows. And the reason I say that is I think most people, even fans of these movies and TV shows, are feeling superhero fatigue, if you know what I mean. Like it's
That is a good point, but I feel this applies more to CW stuff than it does to these rated R, more mature versions because it's completely different than like moviegoers experiencing superhero fatigue, right? Because like
mhm,
movies have been whatever. I mean, a lot of them seem like they've been on that same darker undertone, whatever,
right.
kind of trash. Um,
Uh, uh,
don't we are pickier with our live action movies. Like if
oh
us,
yeah,
everything would be animated
yeah,
type stuff. We think it goes better that way. But but as far as Marvel movies, even those kind of follow the same formula. So I could understand the fatigue there. But as far as these Netflix shows go, I mean Punisher, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones.
right.
But those shows, they're not alike. They're all alike in that they're serious and they can be grittier, but they all give way different vibes.
Yeah,
If you ask me.
yeah, they have different stylistic
If you
atmospheres
ask
to
me,
them.
the only ones we need are. I haven't seen Jessica Jones season 2. I did love season 1 though.
Right.
So I'm not gonna put Jessica Jones because I haven't seen season 2. But the only ones we need really, I think, are Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Punisher.
As much as I love Luke Cage,
Did you not like season 2? I love season 2.
oh no, I love season two, but there's just I love character. I love the character dialogue. I love the characters, but Luke Cage himself, there's nothing wrong with his acting per se. It's just when it comes to his action scenes, I'm finding myself fast forwarding a lot because I'm just like, there's not much you can do. He's not going to do anything flashy like Daredevil or Iron
It's
Fist,
funny.
even though
I think it's funny just seeing how futile it is for these people trying to. Because people, well, I mean, I don't know. People try making the same argument for like Superman,
yeah,
especially because it's stronger than everyone and just throws haymakers. But like my thing is like, hey, some good haymakers, and always works other stuff into there.
right. But with
Kind
Superman,
of get off track there. But I get
no,
what you're
no,
saying. Yeah, he has no powers, just super strength and durability.
yeah, and Luke Cage doesn't have any enemies, at least on the Netflix side, who are giving him that work. Like the reason season two worked especially well for me is because Bushmaster was actually given those hands.
Hell yeah, I love me some Bushmaster, man.
Like that is probably the best version of Bushmaster. But yeah, the fact that Bushmaster was given as good as he got, that made it way more. That made season two way better in my opinion because the end of season one with that fight with his brother, that was trash. Like I'm sorry, as much as I love
Oh
Luke Cage,
yeah, no, I didn't care about that at
that
all.
like you
That
see
definitely was little anticlimactic. I feel a lot of things can be a little anticlimactic in these shows. I feel like Daredevil
Yeah,
season one against Wilson Fisk, that fight
that fight was
was very underwhelming to me.
cringy, cringy.
Pretty
That,
underwhelming to me. And then actually, you know what is random? I did not like Daredevil season three.
I
It was
got
Punching Bag Simulator 2018.
it. It was. I had mixed feelings about it because I'm like there was things I loved about it, but yeah, there were like what they did with Bullseye. I was kind of like. So I think at the end of
Yeah,
the day, I think this was the best move for him. I'm Netflix. I'm talking about,
yeah. For Netflix, this is their best move.
and the fact. Okay, so for people who are not aware of Millerverse, let me pull up the article again, just to give you an idea of what they'll be giving us. So, like the piece of the article I read, they have Kick-Ass in their works now. As far as Kick-Ass goes, the guy who most people recognize from the movies, the white boy Dave
Something
Lewin,
Johnson. I'm forgetting the kid's name.
was
Play.
I'm thinking of the character's name, Luzink, some type of Jewish fucking
I
name.
don't remember his name now.
Uh, he's over and done with. He's essentially retired as Kick-Ass. So there's a new kid on the block, black woman. I haven't read her article. I haven't read her version of the comic yet, but from what I hear from some people, it's actually pretty decent. So I'll be excited if they pick up on that. But in terms of what they got, there's a comic called American Jesus. The premise: when a 12-year-old boy discovers he's the second coming of Christ, he's forced to grow up very quickly and deal with the fate of the world. Typical teen problems, yada yada. Same, and apparently the person who's going to be making this TV show is the same person who helped direct Luke Cage. So at least you
It's
got some.
awesome. Marvel's keeping a lot of the same people. If that makes well, I mean, I don't know how the everything goes into this. I don't know. I said Marvel. I meant to say Netflix.
Mhm.
Netflix keeping a lot of the same people. I was reading the article too. One of the
Yeah,
guys that's working on I want to say it was the Jupiter
yeah,
Rising,
hmm
Jupiter's Legacy. Was the guy who produced the first season of Daredevil.
right.
A lot of
And
people,
and
I
most,
consider first season of Daredevil a banger. So y'all can look forward to this. And I feel like some bigger names, because a lot of these are smaller names. One of the things that they have in the works, I don't know, Wanted.
hmm yeah, yeah, they got wanted. So
Biggest, yeah, that's my biggest one. Is I'm like, dude, Wanted can be crazy.
now, for people who don't know, the Wanted movie with Angelina Jolie and Morgan Freeman, that's actually different from the comics.
Yeah, it's fairly different.
So if they go with the more comic verse version, which they honestly should because it has better
I think it's
content,
cooler.
yeah, yo, this is gonna be Netflix's next banger when it comes to
Yeah, it's gonna
comic.
be a banger. Because you got to think action like out the wazoo, but with like some of that crazy, more cult.
Right.
If that makes sense to people,
Yeah.
you
Pretty
know.
much death cults, essentially. Uh,
Yeah,
but
and it's
yeah,
pretty wicked. The one or whatever. What do they call him? The guy who killed all the superheroes. I mean, it's a whole thing.
yeah. Shit, I can't remember it.
Yeah, supposedly he's like anti superhero. Like he killed every superhero, and that's what ties into Kick Ass. That's why
Hmm.
there's no superheroes, and they made everyone forget they're super. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, the Millerverse is interesting because
Yeah,
they got they don't just have superheroes; they have all types of stupid stuff going on. Uh, so yeah, be on the lookout for those future shows. I will say this: outside of Wanted, there is one show that I am deeply interested in just because of the context. The concept is so ridiculous. It's called Sex Criminals. The premise is when Susie and John discover they can stop time when they orgasm, they decide to rob a bank. It only gets weirder from there. So I kind of want to know.
show.
Yeah, that's gonna be a show.
Oh man, I gotta watch that. I've already
I
seen
know.
stuff.
Like, bruh, let me
I was gonna
tell.
say as a comic, I was gonna be like, that's gonna make me feel uncomfortable reading it, but like as a show, that sounds,
Shit,
you
I'm
know, it's
gonna.
not cool. I don't know why, but as a comic, like, oh, I'm reading sex. That's nasty.
Yeah, hey, I'm not even gonna front. I'm gonna look for this comic now just so I can get an idea what the show might be like, and I'm gonna be like, I'll let y'all know in the future. Uh, all right, so going into our final topic, comic book recommendations. All right, so what you reading? Let's pick one for this week for each of
Ooh,
us.
I am reading everything. I am reading everything that I can get my hands on right now. Anything that'll hold my attention.
Right.
But as it's probably one of my favorite guys right now, and I'm tripping so hard because one of my favorite characters, Superman, the 2018 storyline,
Uh-huh.
it's pretty trippy. Beforehand, if you can, you don't really have to because it's pretty self-explanatory. But basically, Superman goes. First off, Earth's been sucked up into the Phantom Zone. But we don't know why. I mean, I know why, but you know, if you're starting, you won't know why.
Right.
But somebody that's in the Phantom Zone is Rhaegal Zar, who Superman banished there in Man of Steel, the guy who blew up Krypton, for those of you who don't know. And they get in this whole death match and everything. And it's actually what really, and you know, that's just badass because it showcases Superman's actually more of a badass character. He doesn't have that static, boring, big blue Boy Scout thing that everyone thinks he is. You know, he's got the whole fire eyes and, you know, gonna beat your fucking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Michael Bendis shows a lot of that. I think he understands the character very well, but it's what develops afterwards. For those of you that don't know, Superman has a son. Afterwards, right now that has me tripping, and I just love it because they'll probably discover a new favorite character, and I'm not talking about the Man of Steel. I'm talking about the son.
You talking about the boy of steel?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Senior Kent.
Uh,
That's my man right there.
you know what? I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I couldn't decide between the two. Uh, so the first one I'm gonna talk about is my personal recommendation is from Image Comics called Monstrous. Yo, this comic is fucking beautiful when it comes to its art. All right, so to give you a little synopsis of what this fucking thing is about. Uh, The series is set in a matriarchal world inspired by 20th century Asia. It tells the story of Micah Halfwolf, a teenage girl who shares a mysterious psychic link with a powerful monster. The background to the story is a war between archaic magical creatures who sometimes can pass as humans and the Kumeya. I can never learn how to pronounce that. An order of sorceresses who consume arcanics to fuel their power. Pretty much, it's a I almost want to call it a journey to the west type of story because there is an end goal in mind. But bruh, the politics, the art, the action, this shit is fire. Now the second one I gotta recommend is the recently released from DC Young Justice. Yo, the art is still fire on that, and I have a soft spot in my heart for the original Superboy because that fucking outfit he had was fire. I don't care. He was a '90s baby and he attracted he fired on all cylinders for me. Uh, it's I think it's only on one or two issues now, but I would definitely recommend people read that.
2 is next week, I believe.
Yeah, two is next week. You're right. You're right.
Okay.
But
Can I just shout out a image in a Marvel comic that people should read too?
all right, talk to me.
Image wise, the new Witchblade. I know you put me on that.
Yeah,
I haven't read it past, what was it on issue 7 when you had me on it.
yeah,
It was like the beginning. I mean, that was like last summer because it started towards the end of 2017. I don't even know if it's still going on,
it should be.
but I loved it. I really hope it is. Actually, that's probably what I'm going to do later. And then Marvel wise, Cosmic Ghost Rider. If you have, especially if you haven't like gotten big into Marvel, It'll introduce you to some cosmic powerhouses and cosmic players, and it also gives you an idea. Like it gives you an understanding of Ghost Rider. It's a powerful power up, and the power cosmic. It's a powerful power up. The Marvel hierarchy kind of, and it's badass.
Okay.
Literally the Punisher as Ghost Rider for the
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right. That's pretty much the best accurate description of that shit. Okay, that's our recommendations for this week. This has been the No Justice Podcast. Zach and David will be signing off. See y'all next week, y'all.
See you.